Hi, everybody. It's me, Carol, from Healthcare Potholes with Christian Faith number 5. I had forgot to put down number 4 on the last video. I got interrupted when I was doing it, so I apologize. Um, so this is number 5 video clip. I'm going to finish off my thing about messengers. My brother Ray, before he had passed, he had gone to college for quite a few years to work on his MDiv, Master in Divinity. And he had taken a trip down to Mexico with the students, and he had also gone over to Spain. And I can remember him coming home and talking about this messenger from God, and I was very impressed to hear his story. And he and some of the kids were on their way down a road. They had a map, and of course, the map was probably in Spanish, I don't know. But anyhow, they were going down this road, and down at the end of the road where they were going to go was a big massacre. So they were heading down. This guy came up in a business suit, looking like us and not Hispanic, and he said, "Don't go down there. I'm warning you, don't go down there. It's bad. Turn around and go back." And that's all he said. Just don't go down there. I'm telling you to turn around and go back. And so the students talked about this a little bit, and they turned around and they went back. And later that evening, they had heard what had happened down that road, and they were thankful that that messenger from God had come and warned them to turn around and go back. Now, he also passed a comment that if the person had been Spanish, Mexican, they probably would not have turned around and gone back. And the fact that the guy was like an American in a business suit and was well dressed, they took credence to that they should turn around and go back. And so God does send messengers, and you just have to be aware of them, and just know that God is good and He's working in lives that you just can't imagine. So when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's so cool to have a messenger warn you about danger. That's just amazing, just amazing. So my brother was here for quite a few years after that warning, and I'm so thankful. So anyhow, I'm sure his wife was too, and the kids. So with that being said, that was another thing. Now, about my brother Ray, he was good at his job in leading people to Christ. And I had a girl in high school that was straying and had a really rough, and I mean really rough home life, and had been through a lot. And we led her to Christ. And I remember that night at the church where we had a sleepover at the church and prayer and food, and it was awesome. He was a youth director before he went into ministry, and it was part of his stomping ground to get where he wanted to be in his life as a youth director and as a minister. And he did basketball for kids, and he did all sorts of things. He was a neat minister. And Basketball for Christ, I think it was called. He had a basketball gym in one of his churches that he was at, and he started that up for the youth group. So he was instrumental in a lot of different things, and he was a good son, a good brother, good husband, good dad, and just loved his first grandbaby. He didn't get to know the others, unfortunately, and I wish he could have. So with that being said, when I was at my mom's bedside during one of her recoveries from surgery, they had brought her back. I think it was her colostomy she had done. and I was waiting for her to wake up from surgery, and she was sort of groggy, and so she was a little bit sleeping there in the room, and I pulled my chair up next to her bed and was holding her hand, and she woke up, and I said, "How you doing?" And she said, "Big surgery, sore." And then she said, "Hey, do you hear that?" I said, "Hear what?" I said, "All I hear are the carts out in the hall and the doctors and the nurses. And I mean, you think ICU would be quiet, but it was rather noisy at that moment." And she says, "No, no, no. Do you hear that?" I says, "No, I don't." And I happened to look up above her bed because I had been focused on her. And there was my brother Ray in a paisley shirt that he had worn in middle school. I think it was fifth, sixth, seventh grade. And he just loved that shirt. It was like sort of a blue green shirt, and it was paisley pattern, and he just loved it. And he had that shirt on, and he was hitting a gong. Now, my brother played percussion, and so he played drums. I can remember my mom going from Fenton to Flint with him for drum lessons, and I'd have to sit in the car with my mom, and he'd be in doing the drum, and then he'd come out, and he'd be, beating his drumsticks on the dashboard or whatever. So the back of my headrest, or wherever I was sitting in the car. So I remember those days. So but he had gonged it twice, and I told Mom, I said, "Yes, I hear Ray gonging the gong." And I see him, and he just floated away. And so he gonged it twice that I heard, and that was marking how long my mom had from that moment on, was 2 months. So it was like, wow, he went right up to heaven, and he got assigned a job. So it was good. So anyhow, so I have good memories of my brother. They're not bad. I don't know, his one son hardly talks to us, and I don't know. I feel bad about that, but we were all going through difficult times. And it takes about 5 years to come off of losing someone. So you go through stages differently. You don't all go through them at the same time. And if anybody is having difficulty out there with the grief process, I'm going to recommend Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's book on death and dying. I use that book exclusively in my nursing studies, and it's a very good book, and it explains a lot of things. And um, you say, "Oh, I wish you could stay here and go through the bargaining process." There's a lot of things, and people that are diagnosed with terminal illness, the death is a little different than if you're killed instantly in an accident, or if you just go peacefully in your sleep at an old age. And there's different stages, and I think she had a second book out about death and dying too that explains a little bit more about that, and how you might feel at the beginning. I mean, sometimes you can prepare for your death or your family member's death, and other times you can't. It just happens, and it's a shock. And I'm thinking about all these people that's kids have overdosed on fentanyl, not intentionally they take a pill and then they're dead. It's like, oh my God. And so it's very scary times that we're in. And why these people are doing it is because we had a good country. And it was a good country till these people got hold and started doing what they're doing. So we need to fight back. We need to fight back with the power of God. I am a firm believer of that. And my healthcare potholes is going to talk about healthcare. Sometimes it may talk about health and Christianity. Sometimes it may just be we're going to pick a topic and talk about it and spin a little of the Christianity values in it and the healthcare together. Um, so with that being said, I'm going to clip this one rather short, and then I'll do another video clip. Um, but yeah, God does send messengers when you least expect it. And he sends them when you're in need. And he knew that those students going down that wrong road needed some help and that it wasn't their time. So that's the other thing. With all this death and dying that I've been talking about with my mom and my brother and that, you wonder why sometimes God will heal people and other times he doesn't. And that's going to be where we're going to go next, just so you know. I do have a plan of what I'll be talking about. And so that'll be my next thing to talk about is healing. And then I'm going to talk about forgiveness and how it affects health. And then we'll see where we go from there. Okay? Have a good one.